All right, today we are talking about the Pittsburgh Penguins. But let me tell you, this is not just another story about hockey. Nope. This is a story about a team that has looked total financial disaster in the face, not once, but twice, only to come back stronger and become champions. It's a wild ride.
I mean, that's the real question here, isn't it? How does that even happen? It's a story of these incredible, near-death experiences and unbelievable victories. It's about heroes who literally saved the team while wearing skates. This legacy is just as much about survival as it is about winning. So let's get into it.
So let's rewind the clock. We're going all the way back to 1967. The National Hockey League decided to double in size, and wouldn't you know it, the city of Pittsburgh gets a brand new team.
Now this is where it gets pretty cool. Take a look at the team's first home, the Civic Arena. With that crazy dome shape, people started calling it the Igloo. And that nickname? Well, it became the key to the entire team's identity. See, they held a contest for the fans to name the new team. They got something like 26,000 entries. And you know what? Over 700 people suggested the exact same name, the Penguins. I mean, it's perfect, right? A team playing in an igloo. So the franchise was literally named by its own fans.
Okay, so let's jump forward a bit to the team's first major crisis. The early years were pretty rocky, but by the 1980s, things were looking grim. The team was on the verge of collapsing entirely, and they were desperate for a hero.
On the ice, they were just plain awful. We're talking the worst record in the entire league for 2 seasons straight. Attendance was in the gutter, the money was just gone, and there was a very real fear that the Penguins would either fold completely or pack up and leave town.
So what do you do? I mean, really, when your team has hit absolute rock bottom, how in the world do you turn it all around practically overnight?
Well, the answer is, you draft a savior, a once-in-a-generation talent, and in 1984, holding the first overall pick, the Penguins selected Mario Lemieux. This one moment, this single draft pick didn't just save the team, it changed everything.
With Lemieux as the foundation, the entire franchise was reborn. Then they added the absolutely electrifying Jaromir Jagr in 1990, and all the pieces just fell into place. A year later, boom, they're on top of the hockey world, winning their first ever Stanley Cup. And just to show everyone it wasn't a fluke, they did it again in 1992. Back-to-back champs. Incredible.
But the story is far from over. After those glory years, the team's old money problems came roaring back, and it led to the biggest crisis they had ever faced. And honestly, one of the most unbelievable stories in the history of sports.
Here was the problem. Years of, let's call it, questionable management, and a bad habit of pushing players' salaries down the road to win now had created this massive mountain of debt. By 1998, it all came crashing down, and the team was forced into bankruptcy. The amount they owed? A mind-blowing $90 million.
So get this, here's the crazy part. Mario Lemieux, the team's greatest player, was also their single biggest creditor. The team owed him over $32 million in back pay they deferred. So instead of demanding cash they just didn't have, he comes up with this genius plan. Turn that debt into ownership. The league actually said yes, and just like that, the player who saved the team on the ice now saved it from the owner's box.
So Lemieux had saved the team from being a joke as a player, and then he saved them from disappearing altogether as an owner. You'd think that'd be enough, right? Nope. His next move wasn't going to happen in a boardroom. It was going to happen back on the ice.
Yeah, you heard me right. On December 27, 2000, 3 years after he had retired, Mario Lemieux put the skates back on and returned to play for the team he owned. This had never ever happened before. He became the first player-owner in the history of the NHL. Just incredible.
So fast forward a few years, and you're not going to believe this, but the story starts to sound really familiar. The team was back at the bottom of the league, playing in the oldest arena, and people were talking about them relocating again. They needed another hero.
I mean, just look at this. The parallels are just uncanny. On the left, you've got the early 80s, worst record, money problems, and a shot at a generational talent. And on the right, the early 2000s, worst record, an old arena causing relocation talks, and, you guessed it, the chance to draft another generational talent. It was literally history repeating itself.
And this wasn't just any old draft lottery. The entire hockey world called it the Sidney Crosby sweepstakes. Every single struggling team was praying they'd get the pick to draft this kid. And what happens? Against all the odds, the ping pong ball with the Penguins logo on it pops up. They won.
And with that pick, They selected Sidney Crosby. The year before, they drafted Evgeny Malkin. So, just like it happened with Lemieux and Jagr 2 decades earlier, a new, totally dominant duo was here to lead the next generation.
And the change was immediate. Crosby and Malkin absolutely took the league by storm. And by 2009, they had done it. They brought the Stanley Cup back to Pittsburgh, and the team completed its second unbelievable comeback story.
So when you step back and look at this whole crazy history, with all its incredible highs and devastating lows, what does it all add up to? What is the real legacy of a team that has basically cheated death over and over again? Well, you can't argue with the success. 5 Stanley Cup championships, spread across 2 totally different eras, each one built around a pair of superstars. That's a track record of excellence that very few teams can ever hope to match. And you know, those last 2 titles in 2016 and 2017 are extra special. See, in the modern NHL, there's a strict salary cap that makes it incredibly difficult to keep a championship team together. And despite that, the Penguins became the first team in that entire era to win back-to-back titles. That is a truly historic achievement. Which brings us right back to that big question we started with. What really defines the Pittsburgh Penguins? Is it the 5 championship banners hanging in their arena? Or is it the near-fatal disasters that somehow made all those championships possible in the first place? In the end, I don't think you can separate the two. The Penguins' story isn't just about the ice, it's also about the fire. It's a story of pure survival, of a team and a city that just refused to let their franchise die. And for that, they were rewarded with some of the most unforgettable moments in sports history, a true legacy of resilience.